Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. My name's Kobe,
And I'm Miranda.
and today we're going to do another question and make for you guys.
Today's topic is the prophets.
I just want to thank everyone who submitted their questions. We're going to try our best to answer all of them.
Hey Kobe, aren't the prophets just people who predicted the future?
Yeah, actually, they are that, but they're a lot more than that. They can be described as social reformers. So they worked really closely with kings and people, and they tried changing their actions to, be closer to God and be more holy.
Oh, we have our first question.
Softball Brand 228 asks, could you tell me a little bit more about who the prophets were?
So there are 4 different kinds of prophets: the former prophets, the latter prophets, and the latter prophets can be split into 2 categories, the major and the minor. The major prophets are Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Ezekiel, and there are 12 minor prophets, such as Jonah and Micah. And these 12 prophets, their works were fit into one scroll, which is called the Book of 12.
All right, looks like we have our second question.
Our second question is from Brinny Boo 1, and she asks, what did the prophets do?
So prophets would often deliver sermons called prophetic oracles, which were messages from God. And they would do this in really extravagant ways. Isaiah actually walked around naked in public for 3 years delivering his messages. And they would basically do anything to draw in a crowd and get attention. They would provide food. Some would use a lot of visual aids to get the points across to the people. And a lot of times these were really confrontational people. They were trying to be social reformers, so they would urge people to repent from their sins, keep faith in God, live justly, and a lot of times they'd predict the future and urge people to repent of their sins or disasters would happen.
And how do we know what they said?
So prophets would deliver these messages orally, and then either them or their disciples would write them down.
Looks like we have our third question.
All right, so Bryn722 asks, how did the prophets deal with the events of 722, the fall of Samaria, and 586, the destruction of Jerusalem?
Seems like Bryn has a lot of questions.
Yeah. So how are we going to answer this?
Why don't we ask Isaiah himself?
Oh, sounds good.
Welcome to the show, Isaiah. Can you please tell us a little bit about your involvement in the fall of Samaria?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I came to Samaria and I told the people that they should stop the idolatry and social injustice, and I told them to turn and repent from their old ways, to be loyal to God, but they just didn't listen to me, and then therefore the Assyrians conquered and took over Samaria, and I predicted this to happen, so yeah.
That sounds like the theory of retribution. Isn't that where God punishes those who don't follow him and he rewards those who do follow in his ways?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Another question just came in from BB1407 at Messiah. She's asking about the prophet Jeremiah. Isaiah, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I know a lot about Jeremiah. He was a prophet who predicted that Jerusalem would fall to the Babylonians. Others prophets predicted good times, but Jeremiah predicted devastation. Jeremiah's prediction regarding Judah's destruction by Babylon were coming to be true, and his words gained great respect for the Jewish community. He warned Judah that God would destroy them if they did not turn and repent to God. And Jeremiah is known as a weeping prophet, a man of deep emotions.
Isaiah, can you tell us anything about the prophet Ezekiel?
Yes, I can. Ezekiel warned of the fall of Jerusalem, and he told the people that the Babylonians would destroy Jerusalem and their people if they didn't turn to God. And he also even prophesied to the people after they were exiled from Jerusalem as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a special guest on our show.
Good.
Looks like we have our last question of the day, and this question is from Mark Lukens 4. He asks, what is divine assurance?
Oh, good question. So prophets obtained and interpreted a lot of messages to kings and rulers from all over. And divine assurance was when the prophet's predictions were align with what the king wanted. So kind of like how God was assuring what they wanted. And this is actually funny because a lot of kings would hire false prophets and pay them to basically tell them what they wanted to give them a sense of divine assurance.
We're going to do a rapid fire round of questions for you. So Kobe, what is a prophetic frenzy?
That is when a person is being possessed by the divine and speaks for the deity. Miranda, which minor prophet prophesied Jesus Christ's birth in the Hebrew Bible and pointed to him being eternal in nature?
That would be the minor prophet Micah. Kobe, does minor prophet mean that they were less important?
Actually, no. It just means that those books were smaller.
Who did Martin Luther King Jr. quote in his I Have a Dream speech?
That would be the minor prophet Amos. And Miranda, last question. What is the shortest book in the Hebrew Bible?
Obadiah is the shortest book, and he is one of the minor prophets. It actually only has 292 Hebrew words. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us, and tune into our channel next week.